Hey everybody, you're listening to the Hisessions Hawaii podcast where we talk about everything local and beyond. I'm John Yamasato, your host, and joining me today is Mr. Kyle Shimabukuro.
How's it?
Devon Nekoba. Before we begin, let me remind ourselves, remind our listeners of all the ways they can stay in touch with the show. There is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Hisessions. You can go to SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And finally, you can email us at hisessions@yahoo.com. If you'd like to help the show get more music on the channel, go to patreon.com, Patreon. Donate there. You'll be more involved. And again, we have a special event coming up. So you can be invited to that.
Which is going to happen in September. I don't know why you're not telling people the actual date.
Oh, September 2nd.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Help people out with that part.
All right. Okay. Kupu Kupu Landscaping. I'd like to thank Kevin Yokomura. You can contact him, 808-722-8685 for any free estimates on landscaping, or you can go to kupukupulandscaping.com. Also like to thank Fort Ruger Market. Kyle and I still on our... you had the beef stew today, huh?
Yeah, I still get high mercury.
I know. His actually went.
You can
his
have
actually
my
went
mercury
up
until like for next.
Bro, my
Friday,
doctor told me I cannot eat fish anymore.
At all.
Like, that
You can't
mercury-
eat fish?
At all?
He said, hey, you gotta stop. You gotta lay off.
Forever.
I don't know. If it's forever, I don't know, man. I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
It's better
Yeah.
than dying.
I don't know about
Or
that,
Well,
bro.
I don't think you. I don't think
Slowly
it's
mad.
I don't know about that.
And by the way, I thought you don't like cats. How come you have a cat on your shirt? Okay. The
Okay.
cat is giving middle finger. That's why it has the shirt.
That's a good shirt.
That actually
It's a
looks
cool
the
shirt.
way. That actually looks exactly the way that you give the finger.
Is it?
Yeah, this very kind of
Yeah.
casual, like. You
Yeah.
don't. You know what I mean? Like when you give the finger, you don't do it in.
I
a
saw it
very-
online and Stace bought it for me. The shirt.
Nice
I like
shirt.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, good shirt.
My daughter likes it too. Anything with swearing on it, my daughter is into. All right. You can find Kyle at highlifeclothing.com. And our special guest today, Mr. Kamea Hadar.
Hey.
It was a long time to get you on here. I think it was my fault. I think I was sick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
When we first asked.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for being so flexible and coming
Yeah, yeah.
on, man.
Yeah, I know you're a busy guy, but thank you for taking out your
Yeah.
time.
Well, I,
But-
I live in the area too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it-
Made it a little easier.
And the food. Is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, you gonna feed me? Oh, shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
That's kind of easy. Yeah.
So Kamea, I guess would be best known for his artwork.
You can't go anywhere on Oahu without seeing something of his.
And we're gonna get into that because
Yeah.
I've always been amazed at artists that can draw
Mm-hmm.
because this is something I've never been able to do. But yeah, so if you drive around town, you'll see some of his amazing artwork.
Like,
Like there's
Doing a little cut off.
and
Yeah,
then there's
there's
the
right?
Obama mural. There's the
Yep.
Chris Moore mural with the Duke
Bishop
and all that
Museum.
stuff. Yeah, so there's
Yeah,
stuff
on
you know,
each one. Yeah.
Yep.
all over the place, and so we'll talk about how he kind of got into that and stuff. But again, thanks so much for making the time. 'Cause I know
Yeah.
he's super busy too.
Yeah. Well, I also have 3 little kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
do it.
so-
That'll do it.
I think that's like 3 full-time jobs
How
already.
old are they now?
So I got an 8-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old son. He just turned 5 on Friday, and then
Mhm.
1.5-year-old daughter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you
So
are
real little. Yeah.
You are busy.
Yeah.
The thing
Tired.
is, it
yeah.
takes a while because even like now, I mean, my kids are older, but it's a lot of taking them here, taking them there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, the days that I think I'm gonna have off, once they see you relaxing. It's okay.
Yeah.
Here's a helpful
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Do not ever show them that you're relaxing.
Oh, I see.
Because that's when they'll come around. Like, I'll be like watching a TV show. I'm like, oh, can you take me to Coco Marina to
Right,
get,
right,
it's
yeah.
like, and you don't want to be a bad dad, right? So you're
Right.
like, okay.
So how do you look like you're busy?
You clean the house or you
that's the
I'd
reason
rather
why
take
people
somebody
do
to Coco Marina and clean a house
clean
than
the
look
house,
busy.
yeah. It's true.
yeah, or or just like sit on the computer and look frustrated.
All you gotta do is
Yeah.
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, like people, I get asked this a lot. Like, oh, what do you like to draw like in your free time? And I don't like to draw in my free time.
It's like being a plumber or a
Yeah, it's
carpenter,
my
right? The last
you know
thing-
you can anything can be a job,
Yeah.
and I'm incredibly blessed, and I wouldn't never trade it for anything in the world. But I can't do it 24 hours a day. Like the creative process is so taxing. So yeah, when I have free time, I maybe not clean the house, but I want to do other things, like surf or go to the beach. Yeah.
Or have 3 kids.
Yeah.
Because once you have the 3 kids,
then there's no free time.
Yeah, you're always.
I would assume surfing comes a little bit less now.
I barely surf.
Yeah.
And what happens is like there'll be like a swell like last week, and then I'll get a lot of phone calls, and that'll be like the one time like I haven't surfed in like 6 months, and then it's like 8-foot China walls, and I'm like just getting, and I'm like why do I do this to myself? Like I almost drown, and then I don't, and then the board goes into the closet for another 6 months, and
or there's sharks nowadays.
Yeah, recently it's been a lot of sightings.
The thing about surfing is the muscles that you use to surf are not muscles that you typically use in your everyday. So if you don't keep going, it gets weak.
Yeah, I don't know, like there's no other alternative. Like my uncle grew up here, but now he lives in Paris, and he comes back for the summer, and he always tries to get in shape before he comes, and he can just never. There's no alternative to like actually. Even swimming is not exactly the same.
Looking up and moving your arm at the same time. Yeah.
So. No surfing or barely any surfing.
Okay, but let me start off with this because I'm gonna be jealous.
Okay.
Were you one of these kids that like when you're in 4th grade you entered the art competitions and you're like you look at all the pictures and all of them are terrible and then there's this one like beautifully drawn thing and it's like, oh, that's Kamea's one. From that age already, were you already drawing super well?
Yeah, I would.
I knew it.
I mean, I don't. You don't want to sound, cocky or whatever, but it definitely came easier to me from before I can even remember, right? So everyone is like, when do you start drawing? Like, when did you start? And I'm always like, well, every kid scribbles and colors, and then I just never stopped. I just kept doing it. So I don't remember starting. I don't remember a day when I was like, I've never drawn before, and then I started. So it was just kind of like something I always did.
Now, I know your auntie is Aunt Namba.
Yeah.
But do you also come from a creative family, like your mom and dad and stuff too?
Yeah. So my dad, by trade, he was a contractor, but he specialized through, he always was a creative guy, and then in contracting he always liked the finished carpentry, so like nice tables like this or koa stuff, and then slowly got into making more sculpture and just stuff that's not even furniture but just like sculptural and just for looks. And my mom too, she's really never like an artist professionally, meaning like she never made a living from it, but always super creative.
So she was always immersed in that creativity zone then.
Yeah. It's weird though because all my mom's brothers are all really musical. And my mom was like, yeah, but the sisters are all like visual and can't do anything with an instrument. Because they used to have like photos of like a music room in my grandma's house with like every instrument, and my uncles and my grandpa could pick up any instrument and play it, and my auntie and my mom were like, can't do anything with it.
Your mom's family was big.
Yeah.
Huh?
Your mom's family was big then.
There's 4 siblings. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Yeah.
How's your music stuff? Can you just pick up? Really?
0. Yeah. I don't know what part of the brain it is, but it is a completely.
I was just thinking about this as
different.
you're talking about it, though, because your dad's contractor, and he has good spatial,
Yeah.
And I think as an artist too, because you have to, visualize something and then use your hand to create it, right?
Spaces and
yeah. So, like, people are surprised when I say that. Like, in my 20s, I had a day job fixing computers at Kamea School, and then we went into Punahou and Iolani. So I would fix laptops, and they're like, "Oh, that's like such a different part of your brain," but it was the hardware, so it was nuts and bolts. So using my hands, taking apart stuff, putting it back together.
I was gonna ask, were you good at Legos?
Yeah, like just the visual, like you could kind of like imagine what it's gonna look like before so that you can have a plan in your mind.
Is that what you're supposed to do with the Legos? No wonder mine always look like shit. I would start and be like, I don't know what this is.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm so confused now because my kids' Legos, it's like, it comes like, this is the whatever pirate ship, and you have to build it the way it says, then you never do it. I just had this,
and then you put it on display, right?
I had a huge tub, and it was just every piece.
Lego size,
and then you make any kind.
And they cheat Legos now. There's different pieces that are not really Lego anymore, right?
Oh, really?
Like if you're building like a Star Wars thing or
the specialty pieces.
Yeah, special pieces now. It's not just blocks. You have to be really creative when we were young.
Build one laser cannon out of
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, when I was little, it was just like you were just given a tub.
Yep.
And then it was just. And then you got scoldings if mom and dad stepped on the Lego that you forgot to pick up at the end of the day.
Which you always tend to do.
Always.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's coming back around to you, so the kids play with the Lego and you're like, man.
Yeah.
So we kind of know your art style now.
Okay.
When you first started as a kid, what were you interested in? Was it anime? Was it cartoons? Was it like realistic drawings? What kind of stuff made you interested in art?
I mean, it changed a lot, right? So like, my son right now, he's just turned 5 on Friday, and he's obsessed with Super Mario. So that's like what he's obsessed with, right? Or like, I feel like every boy is like, you like race cars or dinosaurs, or like I see these memes where it's like there's like dinosaurs, race cars, G.I. Joe, and then they're like from ages 2 to 15, this is like any boy's life is choose one and just go with it, right? So like, I used to when I was little, like Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Like every morning before school, so drawing Ninja Turtles, and then Transformers, and drawing Transformers, and then like obsessed with like all the old TNC,
the boys.
The
like
cartoons, Thriller Gorilla, and like Yo Mina, and like
I remember they had a Nintendo game with all those characters.
Yeah, of course.
And that was a really good game.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
It's worth a lot of money now if you can come up and find it.
Really?
Yeah.
The actual game?
Yeah, it's rare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's hard to find.
Yeah. No, so like, I mean, just like very typical little, like, I would say you could have met like 20 other little boys in the 80s, 90s, my age, that we're all drawing the same thing. I mean, that's like what like was cool in Hawaii.
Where did you go to school? If I can.
I went to Aina.
Okay.
I grew up in New Valley.
So Aina, Kaiser, graduated from Kaiser.
No, Kalani.
Oh, Kalani High School.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the cutoff is like literally through the middle of New Valley.
Well, they moved in now. That's why.
It's somewhere. I'm right on the cutoff. So it was kind of interesting because I went to New Valley, right next to my house, and all the New Valley kids, like 99% of them, went to Kaiser.
Right.
And then I was like one of like very, very, like 10 of us went to Kalani.
Oh.
So, but I remember we got together, and it was like, I had like a core group of like 3 of my best friends, and we're all going to go to Kalani together. So we're like, okay, if you guys go, I'll go with you. And then, but then because of that, we knew everyone at Kaiser from middle school, and then at Kalani we met everyone, so I kind of knew people from both schools.
You had a ton of friends that way too.
Yeah,
from
and then
schools,
and then we used to have house parties at my house, and it was both schools.
Yeah.
I like that pause.
And there was
Used to have parties.
Now,
yeah.
I know what kind of student I was in high school, and I like what kind of student were you in high school?
I was a pretty good student. I got good. That was kind of like, my parents were like super like creative, super open-minded, kind of hippie. So they were super like mellow.
Yeah.
About like I could go out at night and stuff. They weren't strict parents, but as long as I got good grades.
Oh, so you did have good grades.
Yeah.
Not like Kyle.
So they said if you get good grades, you get you can kind of do whatever you want.
See, that's
So-
what you needed to do, Kyle.
I know.
And
I went the wrong
if I didn't
direction.
get good grades, like, cause there was a few times when I kind of wouldn't get good grades, and then
Okay, but at night, were you shaking spray cans and hitting the walls, or was it?
no, I mean, I wasn't running around as much as some of my friends. Like, we're all like, as adults, you know, artists, muralists. Some of them are tattoo artists. We're all,
Wow.
you know, but some of my friends I grew up writing graffiti were way more active in that world than me.
You never got interested in the graph side.
I did. I mean, I not as much. What I tell people is, like, through Pow Wow, my art, murals, all of that, it very much intersects, and a lot of street art in modern days comes from graffiti culture. So I very much intersect with that culture. But when I was in high school, my parents were putting me in, like, very proper art classes. Like, at senior year, I would go early to UH and take figure drawing classes, and my mom sent me to Paris for a summer, or my mom and dad. Yeah, so
You're like CC DeVille
From Poison?
from Poison.
What?
is he classically trained?
He's
or-
classically trained
Yeah.
guitarist,
Oh,
but he
okay.
plays rock music.
Yeah.
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 No, but that's cool. It's interesting now because I have kids, so you're
I'm
always.
sure
trying
all
to,
the young people listening to this.
I
are
know, they're like,
who the
who
hell
the
is
hell
CC
is
DeVille
that?
and
Yeah.
who's the hell is Poison? But yes, yeah.
You know, Poison, of course. But so, you know, the joke that I always make is, all my friends were, like, you know, writing graffiti, so they were all, like, breakdancing, and I was, like, in ballet classes. Like, it was not as cool as I think it is now. Now I have this foundation for my art.
You can
'cause-
take it further. you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And now, honestly, obviously, I intersect with all my graffiti writing friends that are muralists now. We all do the same thing, so we all came full circle together. But it's just kind of like a different path.
It's amazing because what you guys did with Pow Wow was just get these people and these writers off the street and doing it legally.
Yeah.
And actually having them take their time to hone their craft because they don't have to run away from anything. They got a certain amount of time and they can do whatever they want to express themselves in the way they can actually do it now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's you know, just giving people a voice.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So and it was always funny because we would do it once a year, and then a lot of the pieces we'd paint over it, and people would be, like, pretty upset about it. The public would be like, why are you going over it? And most of the graffiti writers are like, it's gonna last a year guaranteed. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because like when you paint
Yeah.
something on the freeway, like it'll be gone the next day or the next week, or you don't know. It's the city is an organic living thing, right? So
There's some stuff in Kaka'ako that you guys never buffed out, though. It's still there, right?
yeah,
What
I
is the
mean,
reason for keeping some art this long and not erasing those?
it's like such an organic process, like which you know, my partners and I would kind of, as curators, quote unquote, would kind of figure out, right? Some of them, the wall we would just lose, and the building owner would change, or the tenant in the building would change, and then we're just not allowed to paint it anymore.
Which I don't understand, by the way, because you're not putting up a bunch of people with big penises or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the stuff that you put up is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
amazing. And you get people stopping by the building.
Yeah, it actually brings people.
Yeah,
into
it
the
brings
area.
people to your building. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, if you're doing something where you don't necessarily need a lot of foot traffic, it may be a little bothersome. But it's just fantastic.
I mean, that's what I would say. That's what I would always think, but not everyone thinks that way.
Well, let me ask you this question, because a lot of artists in the music world as well will sit and pontificate and be like, hey, you know what'd be great? You know what'd be great?
Right.
And then nothing ever happens. But
Right.
I give you and Jasper a lot of credit because you had this idea and made it into something. I mean, like, you got from point A to point Z, you know?
Yeah.
How difficult was that process to come up with the idea, actually execute it, and then have everything?
I think the main thing that when I look back and I think about it is just getting the ball rolling is like the hardest part. and everyone feels like they need to have a plan before they get the ball rolling. But I always say just get it rolling, and then you can redirect it and pivot, right? So it's like, oh, you need to have a solid business plan, and you need to have investors. And, when everyone thinks about starting a business or starting a festival or doing anything in life, it's like you got to have all this list of stuff. And we were like, let's just do it and do something. So it started off as like a gallery show, not even with murals. And then we got into the murals by accident, right? So it was like, well, we don't have sponsors. Okay, so Jasper actually maxed out his credit card. My parents housed a lot of the artists. We just all slept on the floor of my parents' house, So it was like we didn't have most of the things we needed, but we just did it anyway. And we just kind of we're like, we're going to just do it. And we set a date, and we weren't ready for the date. And we just just made it happen. And then every year once the ball was rolling, it was easier to get sponsors, easier to get other artists to come, because we already had the momentum, we had proof of concept, right? So I think we could have spent years and years and years trying to gather all these elements to put together to create a powwow, but instead we just started and then gathered them as the ball was moving, and it snowballed.
I guess what I wanted to ask you was, it was such a unusual event to have an entire community of businesses let you do these things, year after year. And I wanted to ask you, how did you guys go about getting the green light to do that and take over the Kaka'ako community, the business community? I mean, you guys work closely with Kamea Schools, right?
Kamea Schools and Howard Hughes are two of the biggest landowners in Kaka'ako, and they would let us paint a lot of their buildings. And How did you convince them? Did you just approach them with the idea, or you had concepts, or? A lot of it was this guy Christian O'Connor. He was in charge of Kaka'ako for Kamea Schools, and he was this haole guy. I don't know where he came from, but from the mainland, and he had seen that places like Wynwood, which is kind of the Kaka'ako of Miami, how murals can transform and uplift a community. So he knew that the formula could work. And unlike most people that we had approached up until then, they saw us as a big pain in the butt. And why do you want it? They didn't. It just was like,
I just envision.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. It sounds like graffiti. I don't like graffiti.
Yeah.
So no. And then he was like, wait, you're going to paint for free? He saw it the other way around, like, holy crap, I'm looking for something to help me. Because I've been given this piece of Honolulu. Like, let's say you're like, there's like 20 positions like that for Kamea Schools. And then you're Christian O'Connor, and then they give you Kaka'ako, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with this area? Because back then
it wasn't developed yet.
Right.
Yeah.
It was nothing. So it seemed like they kind of just gave him like a really rough part of the city and just like do something with it. And he was like, what am I going to do with this like very industrial part? The location's good, but... And then when he came across us, all of a sudden he was like, can you paint here? Can you paint there? And we were just like, the same. It just was like a perfect fit. And then we
Devon, look up the book The Art of the Start, because I want to give the author a credit. He's an Iolani grad from here, but was in the tech world in Silicon Valley back in the day. But I read his book, and he gives talks around Hawaii, and he talks a lot about that, this idea of, and he's more talking from a tech startup perspective. But
Guy Kawasaki.
Guy Kawasaki, yes. Guy Kawasaki. Really nice guy. And he talks about this idea that many ideas just never get off the launching pad.
Yeah.
They just sit there because people overthink it.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is, you get it going. You can always adjust.
Yeah. Is that the author of Rich Man, Poor Man?
No, that's Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Japanese name.
Japanese name.
Yeah. Different guy.
Okay.
Different
so
guy.
one of my favorite shows is the movies that made us. You seen
Yes.
that?
Oh
yes.
yeah.
I wish they would do more because
So-
I've watched it.
I've watched it twice over. It's
Yeah.
like Forrest Gump, which is like
Mhm.
the biggest movie ever, or
Yeah.
what Jurassic Park, right? And the reason why I love it is exactly why we're talking about it, because you think that because it's a hit now, it was a hit since its inception,
Right.
but it wasn't. It's like even while they're making it, guys are fighting against it, and this movie will never work, or like, what are you guys thinking? And then like Forrest Gump was supposed to have a monkey, but then they took the monkey out, and then like all this stuff, and then now it's so. I just like seeing how that creative process started and came to fruition, and how it was very much not guaranteed. And that's the way that I've experienced a lot of my very successful projects is just like Pow Wow. It's like not like there's no like even our like choosing,
there's no reason why it would be as big as
we didn't have a
organically
master
grew.
plan.
Yeah.
I mean, Jasper had done a show in Hong Kong, and he was like, we're just gonna like have the artist paint in the gallery together, and there's gonna be 8 of us, and we're all gonna paint together, and then put the art up. So, but we're also gonna open the gallery while people are working. So like you can come in and see the artist actually paint, which is kind of odd because usually you just see the finished product.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get invited to like a studio session where they're writing the music. You just hear the polished album. So he was like, I want to do the same thing in Hawaii. I did this small gallery show in Hong Kong. He's got family in China, and that was his connection to Hong Kong. He's Chinese, but born and bred in Hawaii. But anyway, so I was like, that's where I teamed up with him. I went to high school with Jasper Kalani, and
I was just thinking, man, all that talent. Just
Yeah.
there's a lot of like, there's a lot of Kalani guys that are doing very creative, cool
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so like
I was gonna say because the football team wasn't real good. So
none of us are
they
playing
went over to
football.
sports, so it was let's do the
None of us are playing
It's hard
football.
when the beach is across the street. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, they're also very good at soft tennis, Kalani.
Well, there you
I
go.
played soft tennis in high school, and they whipped our ass.
We have a really good marching band,
Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
it's
the
like
marching band's got
Oh, yeah,
very
yeah,
creative.
yeah.
But anyway,
That's
sorry.
funny.
Oh, I mean, one of the getting back to the movies that made us.
Oh,
it's very,
wait.
What?
He was talking about the Hong Kong thing.
Oh, sorry.
So did you finish? So I didn't
No,
know-
no. So
I-
he
I-
wanted
No.
he wanted to do a show like that in Hawaii, and it was supposed to be just a one-off.
Mhm.
And then he teamed up with me, and then we did the first show. And then the night that we kind of like of the opening, where we like it was like the celebration, some of the guys were jamming on the wall outside, and we're like, hey, maybe that's really cool because everyone was enjoying the energy of the mural that was being thrown up just by chance.
was it local artists doing that by
It
chance
was
at that
both.
time?
It was like some of the local guys and some of the
Oh, so you did
visiting
bring down
guys.
some.
We brought in a few guys internationally that were like Jasper's friends from art school and
Got
like,
it.
that he knew, which now are close friends of mine as well.
That's cool.
It was just kind of like getting a bunch of the boys together for a jam session.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're gonna open the gallery up, and then they started jamming together on the wall, and we're like, we should do that because there's walls are bigger than canvases, so there's more space to collaborate.
Mhm.
And also it's open to the public, so you see the process. So it's kind of like opening up the studio, but the studio is the street, so anyone can just walk by
Yeah.
and watch, so you can enjoy the process of art. And then that's how we got into murals. Like Jasper and I had never painted murals ever.
Wow.
We were not muralists. We didn't write graffiti. We weren't. It was just pure coincidence and accident and chance
How did
that
you
we
guys
got into murals.
Learn, because that's a totally different perspective of doing a canvas versus a mural the size of a building. Did you look on YouTube on how to actually pull it off, or did somebody come down and teach you guys how to grid out
we
stuff?
we started bringing in more and more artists that wrote graffiti or painted large scale murals or both, and then we were as we were producing this festival, which slowly transitioned out of the gallery space and onto just murals. we would learn and do it ourselves. So we started getting into it.
Cool.
It's like if you like are, learning a musical genre through this concert that you're putting on, and you just kind of you pick it up because you're just mingling with all of these.
So what was
guys.
your first attempt? Was it the A-frame girl in the?
Yeah,
that was your first one, right?
Well, I kind of like in the first 2 years started painting. Through Pow Wow, I was like, well, I want to start painting murals and start learning how to do this. And I started, but I would always treat it like just a large canvas and not like a mural, which is kind of like too big to treat in that way. And then the mural, it's next to Mother Waldron Park, next to UFC gym of the face of the eyes looking up.
It's like a A-frame.
I've seen it. I've seen it many times.
It's still there, right?
It's still there,
Oh,
yeah. So
that was your first mural, and it's still there.
Yeah, that was my first big mural. So like I had done kind of like small size kind of part murals. I was still using the same brushes as a canvas and still not like really, they were indoor, and I was still trying to like figure it out. And then that mural, we were just giving it like the last few days of Pow Wow. Like Pow Wow was already done. Everyone was already finished painting. And I was running the show, so I wasn't painting. But then they gave us the wall. They were like, do you want to paint this wall too? And I was like, no, I'm too tired. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I shouldn't let this opportunity pass. Like, I should do it. So I teamed up with an Australian artist who paints faces really large scale. Yeah. And he was kind of giving me some pointers on how to do it.
Was the wall completely flat or corrugated?
It's flat.
It's flat.
It's brick. It's a CMU.
Okay.
So it's brick, but it's flat. And then we started jamming together, and then I just once I kind of had that aha moment of like how to scale, I was like, oh, I can apply this to like, I can do 10-story buildings now. Like I know how, like it just clicked. Yeah. So it was that, and that was like a very cool, and and then it's like we're painting together, and it like clicked in my mind, and I was like, I think, when you stumble across like what you think will be a new direction in your life, and then it rains, and then it's like there's a rainbow ahead, and like my friend caught a photo of with the rainbow above us, and then the face was my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and the mother of my children now. So it's like okay. So it's like it's like very, very special moment.
That's mom.
Yeah. That's what my kids say that now, like they already know.
It's cool to hear a story of that mural now.
Yeah. So
and your wife goes right on.
Yeah, she did at the time, but like now she's so jaded. She's like, oh God, paint someone else already. Like, she's like so jaded. I swear.
Devon, you had a question.
Yeah, you passed me already.
Yeah. Oh, you want?
No. Yeah, I know, because actually the moment passed already. But with regards to what you're talking about with movies and the idea, it struck me that the idea behind these things happening, you're always being countered by the bean counter people, because that's right in the movie thing. That's what you get. You get the bean counter guys who say, "I don't get it. I don't understand how this happens in a way that makes you any money." And for the artist, it isn't about necessarily the money. Yeah. Right? Because it sounds like you guys would have. You just fly everybody in for free, and they go, "We're gonna give you this free wall space. Yeah. Create." Right? Yeah. And you go, "Whatever we create out of this, we guarantee you, people are going to want to watch. People are going to want to come down. They're going to want to see." Yeah. So how to make that jump for people? And then, I guess with Pow Wow, you were able to put it into action. Sort of ask for forgiveness after it's done. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I would say, like, I just turned 40, and I have 3 kids. And we're talking about, and then that girlfriend of mine is now my wife, right? Mm-hmm. So my priorities are a lot different now than when I was in my 20s. and we were just having fun.
And
So
you said, look, my really hot girlfriend, I'm going to put her up on a wall.
yeah, for free.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, so I would say that as a young artist, it was really fun and inspirational, and it was like a career building, learning kind of like decade for me. And that's like was really great for me to like build that foundation of knowledge and experience. Traveled the world, we painted free, we did powwows everywhere, we networked with artists, and none of it had to make any money at all.
Well, how did you eat though? Like, how does this work?
So at first I had a day job fixing computers, like how I always say. So I would still do that part-time so that I could have health insurance. And actually Pow Wow had grown pretty big, to where the public's perception was like, wow, you run like this worldwide festival that's now happening in other cities. Why do you still have this like day job? And I was like, because there's like no money in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kept that day job for it longer than most people would have kept it, because I just wanted that security.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like we started getting sponsors, right? So it was like sponsors like Ruka, who are really art focused brands. Spray paint companies like Montana, they sponsored us because we were using their spray paint. Howard Hughes and Kamea Schools, who owned the land and the buildings, would allow us to use their buildings, stuff like that. So, we started like at least offsetting the cost, breaking even. Pow Wow never really paid us, but then through Pow Wow and this foundation of experience, then I started getting jobs as an artist.
Yeah.
And so not from Pow Wow, I didn't get paid from Pow Wow, but indirectly from all the networking and the experience that I gained, then I started getting gigs outside of it.
That's cool.
I wanted to pursue that further, but I want to jump back a bit. So your auntie was Ann Namba.
Yeah.
She had a store in Ward Warehouse at that time, right?
Yeah. She's on Kamani Street.
Yeah.
In Ward,
I remember her back
Ward.
in the day. She had, and correct me if I'm wrong, she had a nephew that had a clothing line in there too. Started something, right? Was it you?
So I didn't have a clothing line, but I've always designed all her fabrics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the nephew that you're talking
Oh,
about. That's me.
okay. Yeah,
That's me.
okay.
Yeah.
'Cause you're young back then, right?
Yeah, so I started doing designing graphics for her when I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was 15 and she was like, can you, like, I want to do like these mons, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like Zodiac, the Chinese Zodiac, or like, fans, or, she had all these different ideas for graphics. She's like, can you do it? And I mean, we started off very simply, and it kind of grew from there, and I became like her textile designer.
So you're immersed in commercial art from that young already.
Yeah. I mean, I was always into art my whole life, and my parents very much encouraged it. So I get asked that a lot. Like, they're like, "Hey, my kid likes to draw. Do I like force them, or do I let them breathe, or what is the push and pull of a parent?" And like, cause they're like, "Hey, you succeeded. You're a successful artist now. Like, what was the formula that got you there?"
I want my kid to be able to eat and do art.
Yeah.
How do
right?
we do
so
that?
They're like, so they're like, and I was like,
tough problem.
Right.
yeah. So they're like, do we like Michael Jackson's dad it, where he's
you grew
the
him to be
most
this,
famous
yeah.
musician ever, but is like totally had no childhood. You know what I mean? It's like, because you see these successes, especially in athletics, right, where the parents
Yeah. Push so hard.
like, you see Tiger Woods, he was like 3 years old on the Late Show, like, doing, and so
Or even something like Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but again, like, you don't want to force your kid, right?
Yeah.
So how do you find that balance? So That is a consideration that a lot of people have asked me as parents, and then now that I'm a parent, I always think about it. Like, how much do you encourage? How much not?
So are they sleeping with paintbrushes and stuff?
Yeah, no. But it's definitely like, and I feel like my parents definitely gave me the freedom to be into it, but they definitely like put me in art classes. They definitely, I don't want to say force, because force is a bad word, but it's like, you know, you put your kids in baseball, or you put, what are you interested in? Oh, you're into, should we try soccer? Let's try soccer. And then you kind of try to get encouraged.
I think there's just certain kids that gravitate to certain things, and if they do start going that route, you just support them in that.
Yeah. But I think for me, it was a big thing. Like, I was lucky that my parents encouraged me and kind of pushed me into art my whole life, because I remember a point after college, because I had done art my whole life as a child. My parents were always putting me in art classes, always had tutors, always giving me the opportunities to learn. And then in college, I studied art. I majored in art because it was just automatic thing, and it's something that came easy to me. And then after I graduated, I found that there were a few years where I didn't paint or draw at all. And it was because I was so used to being in a framework that forced me to create, and I had never like been self-motivated. It was always like, well, I got some deadline for a course, or I got a tutor that I have to meet with on Tuesday and they're expecting something, or I need to get my college degree and I have this many credits that I need to accumulate. And then that's when, by then I was, you know, in my 20s, and my parents were like, we're not gonna put you in art classes in your 20s. Like, now you're an adult, now you do it yourself. And then I remember it had to shift in my mind, like, holy crap, now I gotta like figure out what I want to do. I gotta be self-motivated.
And now you're married and you have kids, and that's another different kick of motivation.
Oh, my dad said the same thing to me. He goes, you know, you can try this art thing out or whatever and go to school, but when you want a job, let me know and I'll make you an electrician. I'm like, F that. And I like one air-conditioned office. I like work outside of the sun. So I try my best to make it work, you know.
But being out on your own, I think, really changes things. Like, even in college, you're kind of on your own, but you're still on, like, you know, you still have a framework, right? But when you're out of college or out of school or like whatever, so there's no framework. Like, you really got to figure it out for yourself.
I have a controversial question to ask you.
Okay.
And I want to hear your perspective on it, because we've discussed this multiple times with different people on this pod.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the future of AI affecting art?
Oh, AI?
Creativity.
I think, honestly, I'm not like an expert by any means, so it'd be really hard for me to give like a very educated answer. But my personal opinion, obviously, and I would say that it's a very uneducated opinion, is because I don't really know AI. You know, I mean, I know what the general public knows. You know, it's kind of this interesting, cool thing. But I think like hand painted, hand created, like human created art, music, everything will always exist, right? It's like, it's always going to be valued, right? Because I think, especially in my art form, like painting used to be like the photography of ancient time. That's how they captured royal families, right? They had a painter come in and paint them, and that was the only way to get an image. You couldn't take a photo. And then when cameras came along, people were like, well, painting will be dead, because what do we need painters for? We can take photos. But then painting took on a different form. And I still paint people, and I try to paint them realistically, and anyone can take their phone and take a way better photo, but there's something about the artist's hand and me painting it and it being hand painted that changes it and makes it different. So there's still value there. So it will, in my opinion, always exist. So it's not going to it's going to change things for sure. It's not change is inevitable, and AI will definitely change most art forms.
So it's a tool for creativity, not a replacement.
It's never going to be a replacement. No, I mean it'll just be another way to create, right? It'll be like, this is an AI generated song, an AI generated, whatever, and then this is not. You know what I mean? I think people will always care if it's
I had a process question or a creative question for you.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a mural of that size and you start to paint it, because I mean I've driven by it when you guys were doing the powwow and getting stuff ready, and it blew my mind because I was like, how the hell? I know you were saying that something unlocked and you kind of went, okay, I can visualize this thing on the wall, right? But procedurally, do you are you the only person who's up there? Like, do you draw stuff in a chalk or like a pencil or something so that you kind of have an idea?
Yeah.
Right? Or
are you like a dot matrix?
Yeah, or do you just get up there and go, all right, so this happens here and this happens here.
Or you're talking about like having a grid and
yeah. Is that what
then,
happens? I'm just curious.
So
every artist is different, but
there's a few different techniques to doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the easiest way to explain it, and it gets way more complicated than this, is like a grid. Is a traditional grid. So the easiest way I can explain it is if you have a 10-inch by 10-inch piece of paper, and you draw a triangle on it or a face or whatever it is the image is going to be, and then you have overlaid onto that 1-inch by 1-inch square. So you have 10 across, 10 down, and you have A1, A2, A3, B1, and B2, B3. And then you have a 10-foot by 10-foot wall, and you do 1 foot by 1 foot squares, right?
Okay.
So then you take your sketch and you say, okay, what is in A1? And then there's like the corner of the hair or whatever, and then you draw it up there, and then you slowly can transfer your 10-inch.
Wow.
That's how I thought it was done, but
onto a big wall.
Even knowing it still blows my mind.
I know. Well, because when I look at the one that you drew of Duke, or or even the one that you did of your wife. Sorry for bringing it up again, but the ability you have to do this ginormous artwork, and still maintain the humanness of the faces and stuff, right? Because people do, like I've seen other people draw people, and you kind of go, okay.
Yeah.
But yours have always, I don't know, I didn't even realize it was him. So I was like, holy shit, because because not only are you everywhere, but the stuff that you draw is
so realistic.
It's very realistic. Like your green.
Because it'd be different if it was just an abstract, whatever, right?
Yeah, or you see like eye drooping or something.
Right.
There's a very human and very.
I mean, that's a tough subject to do on a big scale.
It's
face,
I would say it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Anything else that I do is so much less pressure.
Yeah.
Because everybody, so what it is like the human eye is conditioned to look at the human face, right? So even a baby recognizes its parents or recognizes people, right, versus inanimate objects, right? So your eye is so conditioned. So if I paint a 12-story hibiscus, nobody's going to be like, the bottom right petal is kind of like is kind of droopy, right? But if I paint Duke's left nostril drooping a little, everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck is up with his nose, dude? You know what I mean? Like, it's so instantaneous, and it doesn't take an art degree, it doesn't take anything. Any human being will be like, he looks like off, right? Like odd, right? And that's just the nature of faces and people's ability to recognize faces.
Do you love the challenge then?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I always drew really well. It always came naturally, and I was always good at it. So when I tried, but drawing faces is one of the hardest things to draw, and oftentimes it wouldn't come out perfect, or I didn't like it. So I just avoided it because I was like, it's like sometimes talent can be a hindrance because you're used to being the best, and then as soon as you're not, you're like, well, I'm not going to do that because I would just only want to be the best because you're 12 or 14 or you're a teenager. If you're like the star pitcher, you're not going to start playing soccer because you're like, well, I'm super good at pitching. I don't want to like, why would I do that? You know what I mean? Because then I got to be average or, you know, or I got to work a little harder to become better. So I avoided it. And then kind of like, you know, late in high school and early in college started like facing my fears. And I would have courses where I was forced to paint the human form. And then once I kind of started getting better at it, it was, you know, learning technique and not only just natural ability, but techniques that I had learned. And then I got better at it. And then I kind of like gravitated towards it because it was something that I was always scared of. And then I had kind of conquered. So that's kind of.
And now every single big skill project is usually a face for you that's, you know, that you got down. And
and honestly, like sometimes I'm like, why do I do this?
Now, John's going to end up with a couple of questions for you before we end. But I wanted to go over this last one. You've done some amazing collaborations with different companies and artists in the past. And I know, you know, you worked with Billabong. You worked with other graffiti artists in the mainland. And stuff. Slippers, everything. The latest thing you did, well, I don't know if it's the latest thing you did, was just the Spam Cam.
That's
right?
my latest thing.
So I wanted you to explain the design behind the Spam Can.
Okay.
And also how it evolved.
So this is the, I guess the name for it is the Hawaii Collector's Edition Spam Can, right? So it's only found in the state of Hawaii and it's only for a limited time. And then it'll most likely that'll be it. It'll go back to its normal label.
Okay.
But Hormel, who owns Spam, reached out to me. The Gamble family is a local family, and I you know, I know them, and they
you know everybody.
We're
You're related to everybody. It seems
it's you know, it's like Hawaii's a small place.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I like that it's a small place because I feel like, you know, it's small enough that everyone has to kind of help each other, right? Not like it's not you're not trying to claw down your competitor. You're like, we should all help each other because it's too small an island not to.
Yeah.
So the Gambles I knew for many years, and they're the distributors of Spam in Hawaii, and kind of their grandfather helped popularize it here. But Hormel reached out to them and said, "Hey, we want a local artist." This is the story I was told. Who knows? I don't really know. All I know is that I got a call. They were like, you know, label, would it be cool? I don't know whose idea it was, but you know, Scott Gamble, he was like, "Hey, Kamea, like, we're thinking of doing this thing with Hormel, doing the label custom, but we want a local artist. Would you be?" And I remember him asking me, and I was like, kind of like,
what?
No, I was like, it was such a 110% yes.
Yeah.
That I was like, I can't even believe you're fucking asking me if I would. They're like, would you be interested? And I'd be like, hell fucking yeah. Like, I was like, oh, but I didn't know if you would be like offended. I'm like, offended, dude. Like,
Spam is everything here.
Spam is like my childhood, right? So like, to me, that would be something that I could be an old man and look back on and be like, that's pretty cool that I got to do that, right?
Yes,
like,
it
I
is.
never thought that this is not something that I thought I would ever be able to do, just because I would never even think of doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
And you know
like,
what?
oh,
Nobody's
so
done
cool.
it before you.
Yeah.
That's even more awesome.
So but then you know, I connected with Spam, with the Hormel team, and you know, everyone was discussing, and they were like, kind of like, what would you want to do? And I said, you know, I appreciate that they were giving me a lot of creative freedom, but I didn't want to completely reinvent the wheel. Like, you know, the Spam blue and yellow is so iconic, and what am I was like, all of a sudden it's gonna be like a green label or a red label. I was like, it's gonna be weird, and so I felt like it would be more respectful to keep the iconic colors. And to me, the iconic colors with the blue and yellow, then I was like, well, our state flower is the yellow hibiscus, so that's like kind of like a perfect fit.
Well, and blue and yellow is also Kaiser colors.
Yeah, I know. Which
you
my
deep down,
Kalani Falcon, my Kalani Falcon blood is boiling. Yeah. No. Well, so my auntie and my cousin, my auntie just retired, but they're Punahou teachers.
Oh.
So to them, it's a buff and blue.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Everybody has their own interpretation.
Yeah,
Right?
right. Everyone is against the Falcons for some reason.
And there's a story behind the pink flower on there.
Yeah,
right?
so actually Hormel was the one who was like, would it be, because I was just going to do yellow hibiscus, hibisci or hibiscuses, or I don't know what's the plural of hibiscus. But they were like, should we do some kind of like a nod to Maui after the wildfires? Because when we had started this discussion was over a year ago, and it was very, very fresh.
Yeah.
But I was like, do you guys think that by the time the can comes out, it's gonna be in a year, it might not be, on people's minds as much. And to Hormel's credit, they were like, that's what we want. Like if it's
To keep it in the public eye.
yeah, to keep people, because they were one of the biggest donators. They donated like a lot of money and a lot of food to
A lot of spam, probably.
Yeah, a lot of spam to the people. I mean, that's what spam's for, right?
Yeah,
It lasts
yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
right? So, they, and to their credit, they were like, if it is kind of like quote unquote old news, then we want to make it new news again, and we want to make sure it stays on people's minds, because it's not like everyone on Maui is going to recover within a year. So if we can bring it back into people's minds and put it in front of people's eyes, and also, use your label as a kind of fundraising and conscious
Reminder.
then that's great. And so to their credit, that there was, they were kind of the ones who mentioned it, and I ran with it, obviously, because I have a lot of friends from Maui, that live in or used to live, big time families in Lahaina that lost homes. One of my friends, Kavika Casco, he's one of the firemen that, was with the president. He was in that story where they got stuck and then they got rescued. And so, I mean, I have friends that were really close to what happened there. And so I was happy to have any kind of positive impact.
And
on
you
that.
also selling merchandise on your website too. Can you?
Yeah. So KameaHadar.com, that's my website. And, just some fun like T-shirts and hats and spam stuff. I mean, it's just like, I mainly just think of if I was my 5-year-old son and my dad did the spam can, what would I care about? I'd care about all the spam that we're frying for the commercial, because we made a commercial and he got to eat like unlimited spam that day. And like usually
a lot of salt for a little kid.
and then all the hats and stuff.
Yeah,
like that's what he's excited about, right? Except now he has a Super Mario hat, so his spam
that's
hat
just
is
done now.
retired.
his spam hat is retired. Yeah, but for a little while he had his spam hat and he was very proud of it. So yeah, I just like stuff like that. It's just kind of collectible stuff for the kids.
Well, we would love to have the spam can autographed by you and we'll put it up on the shelf.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, I think they are still available in all Foodlands and Safeways.
Yeah, I just went down today. It's still in Foodland.
Yeah, but once they like run out,
That's it.
Oh, you better go buy more, everybody.
I gotta go buy mine today.
Foodland,
Yeah.
Foodland right
I'm glad
now has a
this doesn't
special,
run.
2 for $7.
Oh,
At
nice.
Foodland right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have the first ever spam vending machine in
What?
in the Hyatt right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had a contest with golden tickets. So it's like kind of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? So but we wanted to do a contest during the Spam Jam, and so we were thinking of creative ways to do it. And unlike Willy Wonka's chocolate, you cannot put the ticket inside.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's not chocolate, it's a spam can. So you kind of open it, stick a golden ticket and then reseal it. That's
That'd be
gross, and that
unsanitary.
just won't
Yeah.
work. So then we were like, well, we'll just put it on the back. But then Foodland is like, we're just gonna get a bunch of people just looking on the back of
Yeah.
every single can, right? So we're like, well, maybe we can make like a McDonald's one where you know,
Peel
like
it.
the Monopoly thing where you have to peel it so you cannot see it. But then it started getting like really hard. So actually, Kimo Kennedy, who is my close friend, who I work with now 1117, he owns a creative agency that. But Kimo I know through growing up in New Valley, but he was the manager of the Green, and JP is his brother, and Caleb, the lead singer, is his cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Kimo came up with the idea for the vending machine. So he was like, we should do a vending machine because then it's behind glass and you just have rows. So it's still chance. You pick whichever one you want, but you don't know. And then the golden ticket would be on the back. Yeah. And so people got to choose like which one.
What did the golden ticket win? A year's
Oh, so we
supply
had
of
like
spam?
all kinds of, like we had like,
So multiple tickets.
there was a bunch. Like the night of the Spam Jam, we made them like almost like one in every other one was a winner. So they won
cool.
Scott slippers, a free month supply of Spam. One person got to ride in, like I have a signature Lamborghini that I created, that I wrapped with my artwork.
Wow.
They got to drive it for like an hour or two, I think. Just like take it and drive it around.
Wow.
That's super
Yeah.
cool.
There was like weekend stays at the Hyatt, like all kinds of
So
stuff.
all
like
different
that.
prizes.
Yeah.
The line must have been long for that.
It was
one
crazy
vending
long.
machine.
It was
Yeah.
really long. Yeah.
What was the cost to play?
So it was the same cost as
A regular
how
kind
much
of
it
Spam.
costs in Foodland. And everyone that like Kimo, who came up with the vending machine idea, he's like, we should charge like $100. Okay? I'm like, no, it has to be the same cost as in Foodland. And they're like, you're so dumb. And it always comes back to like, you dumb artists, you don't care about money. And I do care about money, just not in this case. It has to be. But like now, I think we raised the price because we just had to.
You can still go to the vending machine then?
Yeah, so it was in international marketplace
Okay.
for the Spam Jam, just that one weekend, and then it moved around, and then now it lives in the Hyatt Regency. So you can go there and
Don't look at me. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna go try. With
No,
the
I'm
golden
gonna
ticket.
go to like
Foodland.
Foodland right now and go buy the Spam
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
this is not gonna run for a couple days,
yeah.
so
Oh,
I
yeah.
get time to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But we did have to raise the price on the vending machine, so it's not.
It's okay. It's still worth it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kamea, last question.
Okay.
We are technically a music channel, so we ask all of our guests this question.
Okay.
If you were stranded on a desert island for all of eternity and had to bring 3 albums with you to listen to for the rest of time,
Okay.
what would those 3 albums be?
Okay. Man, that's hard because you have your like go-tos, but then it might not be something you could listen to over and over for eternity, right?
Right.
Yeah. It would probably be like a classic, like one of the Beatles albums.
Okay.
One of the early ones or one of the ones after like Revolver?
See, the thing about the Beatles though is I don't know specifically which hits on what albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't tell you which.
I think in the end we
What
just
was
have
the-
to go
what was
with
the favorite-
artists.
Yeah, what was a favorite song of yours?
Like when my wife and I got married, we had some like a quartet, and they were playing all Beatles, like Here Comes the Sun, and like a few other like really just beautiful happy Beatles songs. So one of those albums,
Okay.
and then maybe the Sublime,
40 Ounces of Freedom.
either that or the self-titled album, just because that's like my high school. So
Mhm.
that's just kind of like super reminiscent of like that time of my life.
Did you see the Sun singing?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw him on the Late Show.
Oh, he was on the Late Show.
Yeah,
Because they did.
What is his name? One of the. Who's the host? Tonight Show.
Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon. He was on there on Jimmy Fallon.
Oh,
Oh, his
Yes,
son sings, really?
his son's yeah. So they were
He's the
at
lead singer now,
Coachella.
Sublime.
Oh,
So
really?
Yeah, he kind of sounds like him.
He
Does
looks
he?
like him. He sounds like him.
Really?
Just a little bit more tweaking, and it's gonna be like a
Yeah.
super weird thing to see.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
Oh, so much for Rome then.
Yeah, Rome got out, and then they put him in.
Yeah.
Bradley's son. Yeah.
Yeah, so because also like that was an album that like I used to listen to all the way through, so I know like all the songs. You know, like I think also like just when I think that was pre iPod.
Right. Yeah. So
That
you
was still CDs, I think.
It was
That's right.
pre-iPod, and I think it was Radio Free Hawaii days.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
So, because I was gonna say like that time period. Also, I was listening to like Blink 182 and NoFX, like a lot of punk music. But I couldn't do
You're
that
not
on
gonna do
a
that
deserted
on
island
repeat.
all day, every day. You know
So
what I mean?
Beatles, Sublime.
Yeah,
And
and
the
the
last one would be.
I don't know. Yeah, that's tough. Maybe you want to mix genres in, yeah, like. No, you know, no. I'd gotta say like a Hawaii album because
Okay.
you miss home.
Contemporary or like one of these guys or
Yeah, I don't know.
Maka Hassan's, The Green.
Yeah, obviously the Green I like because you know I've done all their album covers, so they're like that's like yeah maybe that just because
Is that your wife on album cover too?
yeah she's on all the
Wow.
album covers. Yeah.
Forever famous.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Forever jaded.
I know, right?
Awesome.
You're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Do you make her? Do you have her sit for those, or do you just? I mean, you know her face so well by now.
Yeah.
That you just sort of can.
Oh, I take photos. I do photo
Okay.
shoots and I take pieces of the different photo shoots. and
You
You
put it
should
all
have her try
together.
paint you once and see.
Oh my
I see
God,
that challenge
no.
on the internet now, right? 'Cause her husband and wife are painting
She would
each
never
other.
do that.
No?
She would never.
Is
But
she
yeah, man,
creative
one
as
of the-
well? Is she creative as well?
She's a therapist. Yeah.
Oh.
So she's in a completely different field. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you win a fight with a therapist?
You
Like,
don't.
if you're getting in an argument, you cannot, Jack.
No. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah.
I mean, all four of us are married, so we know you never win a fight anyway. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Because if you say anything, you're like, is this about, you know, like let's say like, I don't know,
Dishes.
She does something. Dishes.
Huh.
Is this really about the dishes? Or is it because when you were in high school, somebody didn't like your drawing,
Right.
and now you're taking it out on me, and it's not that at all. But I'm like, wait, what? Like it's like so convoluted and like it's so like complicated that I'm like, is that what it is? No, it's not what it is. Like,
Go away walking like, maybe it is.
yeah.
Can it just be that the dishes are dirty?
Yeah. She called me yesterday when I was working out. She thought I had eaten the kids' fried rice dinner, but it was just like behind something.
Oh.
But she said it so like
Emphatically, like it was gone.
that I actually for a second got scared that maybe I did it and didn't remember. I was like, that's how scared I am that I actually believed I did something I didn't even do. I was like, that's like the song of every husband.
Yeah.
I
Married
firmly
life,
believe that everybody's wife goes, I told you.
Yeah.
And then they walk away and go, I hope that worked because
Yeah.
I didn't tell them. And then the husband goes, oh, maybe I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I guarantee that happens for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Kamea, thank you so much for coming in,
Yeah,
man.
thank
And
you
we really
guys.
appreciate it. And again, sorry about the last one when I got sick. But
Oh no.
Congratulations on everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations,
Oh, yeah, no,
man.
thank you
This
guys
is
for having me. I
Really cool
appreciate
stuff, and it's really
Yeah.
good to meet you. And tell Jasper we said hi.
Yeah.
We're all good friends. So
Yeah.
all
Awesome.
right, and we'll see everybody next week.
Later.
Take care.